Being a target of scorn can be really sad at times. Unfortunately, people do not realize how much it hurts until they're forced to walk down that path. A congenital defect that Aldrin was born with has caused him to be mocked and ridiculed. As time passes, his self-esteem begins to deteriorate. But just as things are about to spiral out of control, Aldrin meets a footballer who, in the most unexpected of circumstances, changes his life. Aldrin was born with a congenital requirement for his geographic location. His knees are bent in the opposite direction of his body as a result of this disease. He was unable to walk properly, he couldn't even stand, and his leg was in a lot of pain from the injury. Despite the physical anguish, Aldrin had had to deal with the emotional suffering of being ridiculed by his fellow astronauts during the mission. His classmates used to tease him about his appearance and referred to him as Flamingo legs on a regular basis. Several campaigns were launched to bring an end to the unending bullying, but none of them were successful in achieving the desired effects. Aldrin's mental health began to deteriorate as a result of the criticisms. He was under the impression that he had no purpose in life. He had no idea that his life was about to take a dramatic turn. At the very moment that Aldrin was beginning to believe that there was no point to do anything, a doctor became aware of his plight and informed Tim Tebow about it. Tim Tebow, a former NFL quarterback, was born in the Philippines, where he currently resides. He grew up in a missionary family and worked with his parents. Tebow's first missionary trip took him to a distant island where he met a Filipino boy named Sherwin. This was Tebow's first missionary experience, in the same way that Aldrin did. Sherwin was born with a limb abnormality that significantly reduced the quality of his life. Tim Tebow was moved to start the Tim Tebow Foundation as a result of this interaction. After Alan's photograph was seen by Tim Tebow, the scene reminded him of Sherwood, and he immediately felt a connection to him and wanted to lend a helping hand. He could have made a significant difference in Aldrin's life if he had done more. Following Tebow's instructions, the medical staff at Tebow Cure Hospital chose to focus their efforts on Aldrin's legs. It was a 4-hour surgery that brought about something truly remarkable. Aldrin rose to his feet and was able to walk. Aldrin is now able to walk with the assistance of a walker, but he expects to be able to walk without assistance in the near future. He's returned to school with the hopes of realizing all his ambitions. Daisy, an 11-year-old girl who was born with fibular hemorrhage, which led to the amputation of both legs, is a case that's familiar to Aldrin's. Little Daisy, on the other hand, isn't going to take no for an answer, and she's become a source of inspiration. You won't believe what she's been up to, let alone understand it. Daisy was diagnosed with fibular hemorrhage during her 20th week of pregnancy while still in her mother's womb. As a result of this problem, neither of her feet were able to develop normally. She had one little fibrillar in one leg and none in the other, and she had no fibrillars at all in the other. She had difficulty balancing and moving correctly from the time of her birth. At this point, it was determined that amputating both legs was the best option. Her parents agreed to this, but only after much deliberation. What they didn't realize was that Daisy would still be able to have a regular and live life despite her injuries. Despite Daisy's predicament, they'd given her to a star, and it was only as Daisy grew that they realized what they had done. As soon as Daisy reached the age of 18 months, she had both of her legs removed. After the surgery, she was in excruciating pain, but she was soon provided with prosthetic legs, and she hasn't been afraid to show the world what she's made of since that time. She learned to walk and move with the assistance of prosthetic limbs, and once she mastered the technique, she was prepared to take over the world. Here's a look at what she's been up to lately. A normal existence, according to her father, is what she strives to achieve. She manages to surprise us on a regular basis. She enjoys doing things that other people are capable of doing. Daisy, like many other children, enjoys riding bicycles, participating in a variety of sports, and even going to the gym with her father 3 times a week. Daisy participated in a show for Lulu Ajiji Couture during Paris Fashion Week in the spring of 2019. Daisy was unfazed, despite the fact that she had no time to rehearse. Daisy's father, Alex Dimitri, stated that his daughter came out and posted great. She really nailed it. When you look at a proud father's face, you see the most amazing smile you could possibly imagine. Daisy was inspired by her performance and was asked to represent a business once more in 2019, this time during New York Fashion Week. During one interview, Annie Hedges-Baron, creative director of the Lulu brand, praised Daisy as the perfect fit for his company's image and values. Many people were moved by his response when they were questioned if he was cool with an amputee stepping on stage during his presentation. To be completely honest, I was taken aback by the question. When it comes to children, they're children, which makes them beautiful and ideal in my eyes. As a result, of course I said yes. Daisy's still in the public eye, despite the fact that she's had an uncommon medical issue. She's walked the runway for labels such as Nike, River Island, and BOGO. The following is a fact that no one could have predicted. Daisy has a 5 to 7-fold increase in difficulty when walking. You'd never guess it, though. Despite the fact that his daughters achieve great success, Alex Dimitri is not astonished in the least. He considers her to be an inspiration. She faces life with a grin on her face, and she accomplishes great feats, whether it's dancing or singing, and she deserves to be recognized. He described her as a very special girl in one of his talks with CNN. Daisy's Instagram account was started by Alex in order to serve as an inspiration to others, and she's since proven to be a source of inspiration for many others. Amy's parents abandoned her after she was born with a rare disease. In contrast to Daisy's parents, who had been supportive throughout her life, Amy, who is now 37 years old, accomplished a great deal in her life. In the same way that Daisy was concerned about miscarrying Amy, Amy's birth mother sought medical advice and was prescribed medications, which may have contributed to the development of Amy's congenital tetraphomesia. This is an uncommon congenital condition that affects all the limbs at the same time. In this condition, the limbs are either underdeveloped or absent from the time of birth in the affected individual. Amy's physicians were skeptical that she'd be able to lead a self-sufficient existence when she was born. It's unfortunate that she was abandoned by her parents, who felt that they'd never be able to deal with rearing her. Amy, on the other hand, will experience something wonderful. Over the course of that time period, Amy's adoptive parents were made aware of the girl without limbs who was in need of adoption. Amy's adopted mother, Janet, claims that the doctor at the beauty clinic told her that Amy would never be able to do anything and that she'd be strapped to a chair for the rest of her life. Janet reacted with confidence, saying she'd be able to do everything she set her mind to. Amy had always been a source of pride for Janet, and she never wanted her to become reliant on her. Amy has a lot to give to the world, despite the fact that she's missing limbs. Let's have a look at a few examples of these. She is a seamstress, and she considers sewing to be her greatest accomplishment, despite the fact that it's really difficult. She still enjoys doing it, though. If Amy is asked if she's a photographer, she often ponders whether or not she should respond affirmatively, yet Amy enjoys taking photographs, and she takes exceptionally good ones. One unique aspect about Amy is that, despite the fact that she has no limbs, she does practically everything using her mouth, chin, and shoulder. She also has a YouTube series called How Does She Do It? In that she hosts, Amy has inspired a large number of people through this channel, despite the fact that she had no idea what she was getting herself into and had always been reserved. Along the road, she discovered the fortitude to accomplish something positive for the human race. She expressed her wish that the series would serve as an inspiration to others who are going through difficult times. A talented cook and writer, she demonstrates to others how she goes about her life as if she didn't have hands or limbs because she was born with them amputated.